All right. Do you see a difference between building team culture between girls and boys?
Uh, you know, not really. You would think that there might be a slight difference. Girls are a little bit more quiet, and so they might need to feel welcomed by it. Like, they might have groups where they're already friends or they've already been on the team together, so they'll go together, and they might, some girls might need to feel welcomed into their part. You know, I think that's where, like, no matter what we do, boys or girls, I try to make sure we do team things that don't involve basketball. I
Hmm.
want everybody together. So, we might do icebreakers. I'm a big fan of board games. So, like, playing Taboo or categories, you actually find out who somebody is. If you can make me laugh, there's a good chance we're going to be friends.
Yeah.
If I can enjoy being around you, we listen to the same music, there's a good chance we're going to be cool. So, trying to figure out where you can blend players aside from basketball. Because, like me, a lot of my friends came from playing basketball. Oh, I like the way you play. We can play together on a regular basis. We're gonna be friends. And so, that benefit helps with boys. Um, but um, I don't think it's too hard to build the team chemistry. I just think it takes consistent reps. Whether it's the bonding, whether it's practicing, but like you try to have a fun atmosphere in moments where like they know that regardless of wins and losses, this is still a game and a game should be fun.
Yep. I think that's the biggest thing for my freshman is your chemistry and how you guys play together. That's important, but you gotta have fun. Like if you're not having fun, like don't don't do it. Like I don't really want you to just not have fun. Like go do something that you're gonna have fun in. And I think that, shocks them a lot because it's like, what? Coach doesn't want me to play? No, I just
Yeah.
want you guys to have fun.
Yeah.
Um, so now we're in transition. So I'll ask you some kind of stuff. So transition's kind of the modern game now. What do you do to teach transition offense and defense in middle school and youth athletes?
So I'll start with defense because I love defense. Um, when we're in deep, like if we don't get the rebound, we have two different, depending on if we're pressing or not. If we're in full court man, it doesn't matter who your man is. If you got the basketball, you're my man if I'm right next to you. And until we get across half, we got to stay locked in with like this. And then once we get across half, we might be able to switch and get back to regular matchups. But our goal, our principles is no transition layups. I would rather them, swing, 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 and get an open three in the corner. That we have a position to get the rebound because we got two people already in the paint. Then everybody's chasing the ball and we're behind and they got a wide open layup. So that is my biggest, preach as far as transition defense goes is, somebody has to stop ball, the closest person to it, and two people have to go to the rim. And then we kind of match up from there. We call it leftovers, so the last person down the court, you just got to take whoever's left. And then, in when moment, comes available, we can switch and, get rematched up.
So are you this kind of brings up a question that that's not on my thing, but do you switch or do you hedge? Because like my guys, I try to get them to hedge a lot so that they push the guy back to where they came from. But do
Uh-huh.
you switch or do you hedge?
So I blitz,
Oh, okay.
and what I love the blitz, and I even try to teach my little kids this because I mean, regardless of like a lot of people practice coming off screens and are looking to score, they're looking for the roll. They're not looking for a second or third option. And if you don't allow them to think of their first option, 9 out of 10 times you get a turnover.
Yeah.
Um, and and what I've seen so far is like you either have to know it's coming or you have to be a really high level guard, IQ guard, to be able to get a smooth pass off of the blitz. So I don't care if it's my post coming up to have to blitz the point guard. Like
Yeah,
all you have to do is, you're going for the ball, and obviously most people are coming off on their right hand off the screen, so you're immediately attacking the right hand. And if they, go behind the back is the most common move, or they spin. But if they retreat, go behind the back, or whatever to get back to that left, the initial player that got screened should be right back in front and should be shooting that gap. So it's a very aggressive, attack to the screen that almost
yeah,
always results in turnovers.
I like it. Um,
Hold on. Yeah, my
what
phone just.
drills do you use to teach quick decisions in transition situations?
So we
I have
have the
one, but
four. You say
I
what?
have one, but
You
I'll
have
go
one.
over it. But I'll
Okay.
go over it later.
The 4-on-4 transition drill where you throw the ball to a guy on the baseline and the person in front of them has to touch the baseline before they get back
Yeah.
in play. That's like a daily drill we do all the time. Um, but I give them a timer. I was like, hey, you have 4-on-3. Use it to your advantage. Like you all should be scoring in transition, or trying to find an open three because we did have some good shooters, and so we look to take advantage and find open shots. Um, there's also a drag screen option that I use. I learned this form of a transition drag screen that I've incorporated into our drills. But giving them the timer, it makes them play fast. I like to play fast, and so it makes them make decisions faster. And now you can't just dribble the life out of the ball. You have to push and look for a transition bucket. I know we give them about 12 seconds. 'Cause I feel like if a team can play defense for 30 seconds or more, they're probably going to get a turnover.
So can you, or we'll all just go real quick. My drill is like yours. It's the 4-on-4 transition. I do that a lot. But I
Uh-huh.
also do the 3-on-2, 2-on-1, where they're already
Yeah.
down a man, and
Uh-huh.
they have to engage their first defender, and then make a decision based on that engaging of the first defender. Um,
Uh-huh.
because we got to get them to run lanes. We got to get them to
Yeah.
run to their spots. But like freshmen sometimes still don't understand that they got to run a lane and
Mm.
they got to make better passes. So they got to reverse the ball instead of throwing it across the court to the other guy on the other side, like they like to do. Um,
Uh-huh.
I, but that's
Yeah.
like probably one of my drills that I'll do at the beginning where
I got a question
that's a
for you with that.
focus. Um, Can you share a strategy or concept that you've found particularly effective during in creating easy transition opportunities?
Um, so one thing that I look, the cross pass, when we advance, a lot of people chase the ball, and so the cross pass across the paint at the opposite person always cutting to the rim. 'Cause like you said, you got to fill lanes, and so everybody just running straight down. If you fill into a corner or a wing, the defense feels like, well, I'm in front of you. I've done my job. So if we advance the ball on our sideline, the opposite person cutting to the basket immediately, we score a lot of open layups just because the defense kind of fell asleep. They thought they did good and they didn't. Um, we also have a rim runner from we call it Carolina, but from the numbered fast break drill, which we try to do that every day in practice, and we'll do it with defense so that way they get to see it live. But the five's responsibility is a rim run right down the middle of the paint, and so if you're not having, if I have a mobile big, that's very effective. But if they can't, beat their man, or if they get stopped from getting a wide open layup at the paint, I'll have that big come up and set a back screen, that which allows, it could be a ball screen, but a lot of times I do off ball, which again, that cross pass is now forced to be open.
Yeah. All right. What was your favorite basketball moment as a coach and player?
Hmm. So I got two favorite moments as a coach. Because when I coach youth, I also coach my son, and um, we was in Cincinnati, um, playing in a tournament, and my son was having a good game. We was down one with like 2.4 seconds left on the game, and we had ran a play that just kind of got broken down. It didn't work, and we ran it again, and he kind of popped out the opposite way than what he was supposed to, and was wide open and hit a buzzer beater shot. And, he ran into my arms, whatnot. Super excited. Um, so I think that was a very good moment just for him, for me as a coach, but as a dad to see him, you know, hit the shot, have fun with it, and be excited. Um,
Of course.
Last year, this year and last year, I led a team undefeated, through our season. And last year, as seventh grader, they won the championship. Our sixth and seventh grade won the championship, which was really exciting. And we played against the school that I used to coach for. And they're, that's my wife coaches for the other school, and the head coach, that's he's family to us. That's one of my best friends. Um, and so that was, just as a coach, it was great to, share the court with them on that magnitude of a game because they put in a lot of work. We put in a lot of work, and you know, it was just a great, great experience, a great moment, and good basketball time. As a player, so actually I didn't play high school or college basketball. You know, you can call, it wasn't in my cards. I've just always been a student of the game. I've always, loved basketball and I studied it. I played lifelong. So, I've had, just a lot of fun times playing basketball. Um, I don't know. Anytime I get to play basketball, I'm just happy. So,
Yeah.
anytime I just get the chance to run up and down, I'm good.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I mean, like, I was not the best player, but I was a student of the game. Got to learn,
Yeah.
had to learn like real quick that maybe I wasn't gonna be uh in the cards for like the
Uh,
varsity, or I was like gonna be very low on the totem pole. But it me kind of learning the game that kind of led me in to my coaching journey. And
yeah.
then kind of leads me into my next question. What inspired you to become a coach of to coach basketball?
So I started coaching before my son actually started playing. Um, I think just my love for the game, and I was playing one day, and a kid asked me, he was like, "Hey, you're good. Like, can you show me how to play?" And I was like, "That's crazy." Like like I've always wanted to, but like I never really knew like I could, because I didn't play. I thought you had to play. I thought you had to be known and whatnot. And just it was a little kid that just asked me, and so I started with him, and I got picked up into a YMCA. My wife actually was coaching before I was, and she was like, "Hey, let's coach this YMCA team together," and we did that, and it was so much fun. And then she was coaching at the middle school level, and she had asked me to come to practice with her, and the head coach kind of liked how like he let me help out with the kids, and it was kind of like a love at first sight thing, like I just really love being able to teach somebody the game, and, a game that I love so much. And like I said, I'm a student of it, so like even though I've been coaching for almost 10 years or 10 years now, like I still look at clinics. I still, study NBA and WNBA and college coaches. Like it doesn't matter how much success I have. I know there's more out there. There's some things I can learn or switch it up.
I like that. Um, One of the reasons why I started to coach, and it is like right out of high school. So
Mm,
I got I had the opportunity to help the freshmen as an assistant. Then I moved like 3 years later, got moved up to JV to be like an assistant over there. And the JV head coach was a really like knowledgeable. He's done AAU, he's done um, boys. He did
mm,
he practically coached his boys through high school. So um, and that was kind of a cool experience because he actually taught me like a lot of stuff I know now.
yeah,
Um, and just using all of his tools and kind of making my own stuff. That really kind of helped me kind of push myself into the position that I'm in now, which,
yeah.
I'm 4 years into being the freshman coach,
Okay.
and probably going to be moving up soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
But just it's it's a process. The school loves me, which is a good thing. And
Yeah.
I work at that school too, so it's
Okay.
kind of nice to have that in your. I just feel like okay, like I work at the school, I do stuff for the school. I'm I'm committed, so
Yeah.
um, but I'm committed to these kids that I have right now. I'm committed to the ones that I had 4 years ago that are now seniors, and they're expected to do really well in this upcoming season, which I'm very happy for. It's like, we make that transition to coach different kids every year, or
Mm,
well, I do because I'm freshman, that's all I get. But like
yeah.
it's 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 very interesting just because I'm like I I never thought I'd be doing this, and now I'm doing it, and it's like, okay, we're I I just didn't expect it. So I was kind of like didn't know where I'd be in 8 years or 10 years or whatever. Now it's been like the start of my 10th year now, so it's very
Yeah.
interesting. Got a lot of different dynamic of players that I've coached over the years that I see now, and I'm like, whoa, I coached you like my first year as an assistant coach. Like, how you doing? Like,
Hmm.
they're all grown up, and I'm like, man, they have kids of their own. They got everything. So I was like, oh, I'm like, I see them, and I'm like, man, you're doing pretty good. Or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I can see that basketball or that lives are changing. I've seen lives
Mhm.
change from kids that I've had freshman year 4 years ago, and they struggled. They struggled to get into class. They struggled to get to with their grades. And now I'm seeing them, and they're like, man, we're doing great. Like they're in class. They don't have any problems in like discipline or anything like that. And I'm like, man, like we're trying to change lives here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's all the coach is for, really. It's like change lives, but make sure they have fun and
Mhm.
make sure they're coachable. That's pretty much it.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah. You got anything that you wanted to ask me?
Yeah. So two questions. One, I know you're at the high school level, but I wonder would this concept still relate to where you're at when it comes to youth or your freshman level? How do you deal with playing time? For the group that you have, or for the development stage that you're in. What's your mindset on playing time?
So playing time is earned in practice. That's kind of my first and foremost. You gotta earn it in practice. Um, and you gotta give your maximum effort. And that's what I preach. And you got to be there. So like if you're not there, like it's gonna be like a quarter off or whatever, or a half off. Like you gotta be present. You gotta be available. I know like AAU or something like that. It's a little harder to control that, but you got to be present at least. And that's my whole thing to my parents at the beginning of the year. Like I had a parent meeting this week, and it was basically like, "Hey, your kid will. I'm I'm not going to play everyone, but
Mhm.
it like they earn time in practice. So if they're practicing hard and I see it and they're going hard and me and my assistant see, hey, they're going hard, they're working hard, then I'm I usually let my assistant make the calls, but I'll tell them like, hey, uh, if he wasn't there or whatever, hey, so and so wasn't here, like you gotta like let it just sit there and we'll go over the stuff. Because if they miss a practice the day before game, that's kind of where I'm
Right.
like, I draw the line. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a game. You got to be there for practice the day before because I'm going over strategy for
Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 games in a row or whatever. So you got to be there. You got to be present. Um, but typically after that first game, like I'll let them play if they're or like after a few quarters or a quarter, all that's okay. That's good enough. Like get in there and we'll have to figure it out. Like I'll spend
Yeah.
some of like the first part of the quarter, maybe sit next to the assistant coach. Let's go over what we went over in practice, real quick and try to get them up to speed. But that's really what I try to do.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's that's like the common theme is practice time is earned, and I speak that to my school teams, and then when you got your youth teams where people pay to play, and it's like I'm trying, I'm not perfect, I'm not I do believe that for youth, and I say youth, like my son's a fourth grader, so
Yeah.
I've had a second grade team and a third grade team and now fourth grade team. At this level, the wins aren't super important. Yeah, I mean they're really not
Yeah.
important. The wins, it makes the kids feel good and feel success. Um, but at the same time, as a coach, I want to develop players, and so like I don't like doing a 5-and-5 switch. Um, unless I really have like two strong groups or it's a
Yeah.
2020 situation. And you know
Yeah.
what? All five, let's go. But I like doing two at a time as my rotations. And so I try to like, even if you're one of my players that might be bottom of the bench, like I want to like my first 3 quarters is my time to play everybody.
Hmm.
Fourth quarter is only going to be my best players play.
I agree with
And
that.
then
That's 100%. I agree with that. Like all if I can get it to a 2020 game, like I call them my 2020 players, like to other
yeah.
coaches, like they're my 2020 players. We're up 20, down 20. Okay, they're gonna get in.
Mhm.
But like obviously I want to try to like get out ahead. So like, but if I see him in spots where like, oh, this guy might match up good with this guy, hey, I'm gonna throw him in because not everyone's gonna get the same amount of playing time on my.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So I just that's kind of a philosophy that I've taken too is just like, okay, we're either up 20 or down 20, and we got to make that decision. Um, or it's a close game, and I need my best players in. So it goes game to game with me, but it's like I try to I try to play everyone. Like that's
Right.
not like oh I don't want to play this guy. Like I'm never gonna play him. No, like I want to.
Yeah,
It's
like
just
I
a
picked
matter
you
of
up for a reason.
I put you on the team. You're good enough to be on the team. I just it's going to be hard for me to find time if your starters don't do their jobs and are effective. All
Right.
right. Well, what was your other question?
Um,
Curious.
think I lost that guy. Oh, okay. What has been it could be a person, it could be a quote, or it could be, it could be whatever. But what is something that you've learned as a coach that's really helped you as a coach?
Ooh. Um, you got to build the relationship first. I
Yeah.
think that's the most important thing. I don't think I did
Yeah.
that my first year as a head coach. So I think that kind of got lost. We did really well. I'll
Right.
give them that, but I didn't build that relationship as well as I
Mhm.
probably could have. And that's something that I've learned over the years. And then now I'm doing like one-on-ones with my kids. So now I'm gonna be talking with them for like just it might be me and the other coach with them and
Uh-huh.
say, hey, like this, you're doing good at this. We need to work on this. How can we effectively help you to work on what you need to work on in practice and maybe get you better? What can you work outside of the game? Like, what can you? So there's different avenues of trying to get that out of them. I think culture too is one of the things that I'm kind of learning how to build that culture from
Mhm.
the varsity standpoint. I've went to their uh, camps over the summer, and we went to Santa Barbara, which is really nice, nice campus. Um, and the boys had a fun time. They got to learn about just each other.
Mhm.
And I think that's the hardest thing is like for me as freshmen, like they don't all know each other right away because they all come from different schools. So
Right.
getting them to come together, kind of learn about each other. Like I have certain cliques, like
Mhm.
certain groups that are just like not in tune with other people's maybe like other people's problems or other people's struggles that they have or whatever. And I think that that's important to try to figure out um, as a coach to then relay to your team, like, hey, we struggle with this or this person's struggling with this. Let's help him along. Let's support him. Let's get him
Mhm.
through this struggle or whatever he has going on. And then we'll carry that to like kind of building our culture, building our chemistry.
Yeah.
I don't, what do you what's your answer to that one?
Um, there's a lot. I think there
Like one or two
practice.
things or whatever.
Yeah. One, I like what was said in one of your interviews with Dan was, don't change, like whatever you stand on. If you put something out there and you give up one thing, like he said, you give up a corner three because you went man to man. Don't automatically switch back to zone just because what you tried to do didn't work the first time. You
Yeah,
know, what, whatever you stand to do, whatever your philosophy is, like stand on it. And at the end of the day, like you might have to make adjustments to win that game or to neutralize what's going on. But go back to the drawing board and like tweak what you need to tweak to correct, to be able to do what it is you want to accomplish. I
yeah,
like that little bit of advice, 'cause I've been in a situation where I've either changed or I've been a part of coaches where like they'll try something or they want to do something and the first time it doesn't work. Now we gotta go back. Like, give it a chance.
yeah.
Give it a try.
I give it about like three possessions. Okay, if it's really not working and we're just getting scored on, okay. Like I'm like, but if it works one or two times, okay, like I'm gonna stick with it. Like it's not like the end of the world if it doesn't work. It's just
Right,
we're
right.
trying different things.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes where it's like there's games and I'm like, man, this is working. I'm not doing anything. and I might just switch up a few guys here and there, but like we're not really changing much. So, yeah, but that's pretty much it. That's all I have for you, Coach.
Hey, I
Uh,
appreciate you having me up, man.
yeah, I know. It's been a while since I've done an interview, so it's kind of nice to have and it was a pleasure because you bring some great insight into how I can improve too. So always
Hey,
looking to improve. All right,
I
Coach,
likewise.
I'll let you go. It was a pleasure.
Okay. Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah.